But first tonight, a Canberra-led breakthrough in DNA testing has raised hope of better criminal investigations and also the prospect of more accurately identifying victims of natural or man-made disasters. Gordon Taylor reports on the cutting-edge work being carried out by the Australian Federal Police.
Its use has become routine. Every week in courtrooms across Australia, judges and juries use DNA profiling to help them decide whether an accused is innocent or guilty.
It is one of the most powerful forensic tools available to investigators.
Unquestionably, DNA profiling has resulted in convictions that may not have otherwise occurred, because we are recovering evidence that is not visible to the human eye.
And while it's become perhaps the most powerful tool in the forensic armoury, it's a technique that is little more than 2 decades old. DNA profiling was first used in Australia here in Canberra in 1989. It was a new and crucial weapon in the armoury of forensic science. Desmond Appleby was accused of raping a woman here in this park near Canberra's Manuka Shops. At first he denied that he was even at the scene. But in his summing up remarks, the Crown prosecutor remarked, and along came DNA. Because faced with overwhelming DNA evidence, Appleby changed his story and admitted having sex with a woman. The jury quickly found him guilty and he was locked away for a decade. This was DNA profiling at its best. A vicious serial rapist was convicted and removed from society. The odds of it being a chance match were 1 to 165 million, but in the succeeding 2 decades, techniques have improved out of sight. Now a new, far more accurate profiling technique, pioneered at the AFP's forensic laboratories in Canberra, is to be rolled out by police forces across the country. It's a technique that Simon Walsh and his team are already trialling.
In one sense, the DNA profile has been produced using the current system, and the other example is the DNA profile produced using the new technology.
And immediately you see that the new system is populated by far more spikes than the old system.
That's right. So, but obviously a key difference in the change to the new technology is that under the new technology we have much more information available.
And that's far more discerning then. The more information, the far more discerning the profile.
That's exactly right.
Simon and his team measure the presence of specific marker sections of DNA to build a profile. The current system uses 20 markers, the new one 42, making it more than 1 million times more accurate. That accuracy is measured by the chance that someone else in the world has exactly the same profile. The new technology is so discriminating that the chance of a match is almost non-existent. And I think if we even have trouble describing it, I think it is it 1 in, what, septillions or...
The numbers are very small numbers and not numbers that people are used to using.
But despite its incredible accuracy, there are potential pitfalls.
The danger of an innocent person being convicted still remains, no matter how accurate this testing is.
And why is that?
Because it can't ever avoid the risk of contamination or secondary transfer.
In Canberra, a jury used DNA to convict Stephen Wayne Hillier of murdering his former partner. The High Court ordered a retrial. A judge then let him walk free, even though the DNA on the victim's pyjamas was Hillier's.
Because it couldn't be proven how it got there. For example, if he'd cuddled one of his children and then that child had then cuddled the deceased, then the transfer of DNA from him to her pyjama top could occur that way. And indeed, that was basically the reason that he was not convicted.
These new kits are not going to prevent contamination. The DNA profiling technology will only increase our ability to be more and more certain that a match is, that the person with whom a DNA profile matches is the source of that DNA. But that's all it tells us. It can't tell, it doesn't tell us these other things, which is why we need to examine DNA evidence in context with other forms of evidence.
This is the carnage. Guys, this is horrendous. I've never seen anything like it.
And the new technique will have a far broader application than just solving crime. Simon Walsh's team used DNA profiling for the gruesome task of identifying the victims of the Bali bombing in 2002 and the Asian tsunami 2 years later. But in a mass killing, whole family units are often killed. The challenge is to find the similarities between a victim's profile and that of a close relative.
Having a more discriminating DNA profile means that the strength of those identifications is increased, and we are better able to rely on extended family as a source of comparison material to help identify people following those disasters.
And what of the future? We'll see ever more accurate profiling, the tiniest of traces of DNA giving results, and more.
I think people expect miracles occur sometimes in terms of what might be possible to analyse and produce a result from DNA technologies. It's by no means an open and shut process. The process is very complex and a very high level scientific process, and it's not possible in all cases to obtain a DNA profiling result.
So you might not be performing miracles, but the new technology, you're closer than ever before in performing miracles.
With the new technology, we're better equipped to do the work that we do. That's for sure.
Australia's police forces must now decide which company will supply the new profiling technology. Once that's signed off on, the system can be rolled out across the country. That's expected later this year, marking a new era in DNA profiling's contribution to forensic science and the fight against crime.
Gordon Taylor with that report.